My goodness.
Thanks, Willie.
Bragg. Woke states or blue states are not known for banning books. However, book banning is alive and well in Florida and Texas. Cancel culture was never created by leftists, but created by the right wing. I think that, let's put it this way.
Yes, originally that's how it happened.
I would agree with that.
Yes, it was the Christian right crap.
What I would also say, which I think is important to note, is that when you see people on the Democratic side that are gung-ho about censorship, it's never working class populist people. Those are not the ones that are concerned about that. It's usually people of a certain class.
It's Tipper Gore.
Why her? Why her?
Because that's what comes to mind when I think about censorship. It's the middle-aged white lady in the suburb, whatever, that is clutching their pearls.
Anything better to do with
Well, they have a lot of time on their hands. Obviously, they're very privileged, because if you can be worried about this, then you obviously aren't worried about anything else. And so, yeah, that's who I think it is. And I just thought of her because the PMRC.
Well, we were going to get into it with our first guest. We have two guests today. We're going old school. We're going back to the days.
Well, we are in campaign season. So even though the Democrats aren't holding a primary, we still acknowledge that we are in campaign season.
Yes, but as bad as the Democrats are, the Republicans want to prove constantly that they are just as bad, if not worse. And so, of course, what do we have going on right now? They are banning the state of Florida in accordance with the rules of Governor DeSanctimonious. Because if there ever was a time to give him the moniker DeSanctimonious, it would be right now.
He is very DeSanctimonious.
Very DeSanctimonious. And for what and to what end? So the Webster's Dictionary Student Edition is being banned from libraries. I don't know if this is just at schools.
What words do they? Because it probably has like the word queer in it. They have a lot of issues, or it probably has transgender in it. Like it could be one thing. Conservative
viewer and friend BW is saying probably because it provides propaganda instead of definitions.
I'm pretty sure the Webster Student Dictionary is not, but okay.
Has it gotten to the point where
everybody has to make everything an argument and fight? So it's like, if the blue people say this, we're against it just because they're blue people. If the red people say it, nobody's using reason. Nobody's having discussions. They're fighting before they even hear the other person finish their thought. It is just all tribalism. It is so absurd.
And think about how many dictionaries have been printed and how much paper, trees have been used. But let's ban the entire thing, so that way we have to chuck these.
So Merriam-Webster is now woke.
Apparently, and if there isn't anyone who could speak to something so pathetically,
it's very ludicrous. Exactly. Yes, Webster's is clearly propaganda.
Yeah, it wouldn't seem that there would be any good use out of banning books, because
only in Florida.
Yeah, well, that also speaks to the governor who went on
banning the dictionary.
Well. Not only that, but last night they had the debate, if you will. Again, this is the bridesmaids event between Nikki Haley and DeSantis, and so by them going on stage and was questioned, Governor DeSantis was questioned by what seemed to be a plant in the audience, but
I think everybody is a plant in the audience,
but a valid question nonetheless. Basically saying, Governor, you're on board with fracking. You're not cool with fracking in the state of Florida because it doesn't help you there. But on the national level, you don't seem to have a problem with it. Do you seem to think that there's any issue with protecting people's right to have clean drinking water? And he said, we're going to frack. And that's it.
He did?
So this, of course he did.
I love that.
He just double
stepped. See, I actually like that. But that's where he's sort of like trying to channel Trump.
He is. No, we're totally fracking. So,
it doesn't matter, Ron. Yeah. You're a small little man. You're a loser.
And total loser. And he's gonna eat my dust. And so
you're a loser too.
Why? Because I can channel Trump well?
No, I meant Trump.
Yes. Well, he is very likely, despite all the obstacles, still going to be the GOP.
It is so what we so deserve this.
The hilarity will continue. Only it will now be dialed up to 1,000. Not a 10, not 100, 1,000, and 11. So it's going to break the Richter scale. The Iowa caucus, for those of you who think that there's still a primary season happening.
Well, for the non-democratic sycophants, there is a primary. So yes, what is happening? And there is a caucus.
Yes, there is a caucus that's happening. And, we need to let everybody know. I'm
not a fan of the caucus.
Why aren't you a fan of the caucus?
Because it only allows one day. That's my biggest problem with it, is everybody has to be able to, first of all, you have to be able to not be at work that day. It's a work day. It really limits people. I know that they like the idea of discussion, and I appreciate that, but then you have to have it over a period of time.
If I remember correctly, during the 2016 primary with Bernie and Hillary, and then obviously the GOP, I'm pretty sure there were some caucus primaries that were done on a Saturday. I'm pretty sure that.
But it's whatever the day is the day. And so if you can't make that day, you don't get to participate. What if you work on a Saturday? My point is the caucus system does not allow for enough open-ended time for enough participation. That's my opinion.
Fair enough.
That's my opinion.
So the Iowa caucus will take place on Monday, January 15th. And what that's going to look like, I'm not entirely sure. You know, I'm not even 100% sure if it's just the GOP that's participating.
You know when the caucus worked? When Little House on the Prairie was a big thing and they had a caucus in Walnut Grove because everybody in town was at the caucus. So it counted, you know, like that's the thing. A caucus only works for a really small
You know what that? You know what that?
Well,
you know what that channels for me is. Remember the lottery? Remember the story of the lottery?
No.
You don't remember that one?
No.
Okay, so effectively, what happened was that, like a caucus, the entire town came to the town square to do a lottery. And you would think it was about winning something important. And everyone was assured that, oh, I'm not going to win. I'm not going to win. And then eventually the person who wins gets stoned to death.
And not in a good way.
No, not in a good way. Well,
that's the first thing I think of. I'm like,
yes.
Oh my God, they gave them weed.
Definitely one of the more interesting stories. But I think I don't really understand exactly what sort of the message was supposed to be.
The message is be careful what you're volunteering for.
Maybe so. Maybe so.
That's the message.
But nevertheless, the caucus system did work pretty well for Bernie Sanders in 2016, especially because of the fact that the enthusiasm with his campaign was significantly higher than anybody else's outside of Trump's. And so as a result, his ability to overcome the party putting its thumb on the scale, not in his favor, was able to be overcome by just an amazing swell of grassroots support. And that's sort of where we are at right now with almost any and all of the campaigns that we're seeing.
Especially with the complete, influx of the Israel lobby against them. Like all we have are like on the ground skills people.
Well,
that's all we got.
That's all we're going to have. And of course, with anybody who's running for office, especially local office, and the one thing we talk about constantly on our show is that there is a complete and utter neglect, especially by the Democratic Party. But I don't even say especially the Democratic Party. I would just say it's a lot of people on the political left who concern themselves much more with a top-down approach than a ground-up approach. If you think you're going to create any type of sustainable change in the system, you are not going to change it by just focusing on what's happening at the very top. Quite frankly, that's where your vote and your influence matters the least. Where it matters the most is in local races.
Thanks for watching. If you want to support our mission to transform politics into service, please like this video, subscribe, follow us on social media, and consider joining our Patreon, where you'll get early access to our interviews as well as other exclusive content. Links are in the description. Peace out.